People who've actually gotten with their step-sibling or bio-sibling, how did it happen and how was your relationship affected? No relation, but it was with my former sister-in-law. How'd it happen? She hated my ex-wife, her sister, and my ex-wife had cheated on me. Me and my sister-in-law were drinking together about 6 months after it ended, and she said, "You should bring me back to your place to get even." Relationship didn't change at all. We just know each other a little better than we used to, both dating other people now, and it's like it never happened. No, the ex doesn't know. She'd kill both of us. Not even joking. My wife got with her brother in my bed when I went upstairs to sleep. We had company over, and they were a bit loud, and my bed is on the first floor where everyone was, so I decided to go upstairs because it would be quieter. Woke up about 2 to 3 hours later, and went downstairs to grab some water and rejoin my wife. But she already had company. They have the same mother, but different fathers, so technically they're half-siblings. She was adopted and met him about 6 months prior. They were talking on the phone constantly, to the point where, even though I was happy she found her family, I had to let her know that I thought the frequency of the talking was a little strange. To this day, they're still literally on the phone 24/7. In the past, I'd caught her trying to put him on mute and in her pocket so they'd still be together. It's weird. Yes, they were drunk, but they knew what they were doing, and they're still doing it to this day. I originally found out stuff was going on in February 2019. I attempted to work things out with her, and she said that they were just talking, and it wasn't like that anymore. I got a Facebook video chat request from her brother's then girlfriend one day, telling me that she found inappropriate texts between them and left him. My wife again told me they were done, and they weren't talking anymore after that because his girlfriend had outed them to her newfound family, and she received messages from her sisters telling her that they were disgusted and wished they'd never found her, etc. I believed again that they were done at this point. We were going out for my birthday in April, and I found her sending pictures of herself dressed up to him, with replies about how sexy she looked, and emails between them about how, "You know what we have, we can't deny it anymore." It was gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. I served her shortly after. She's been delaying the court dates, claiming she needs more time to find a lawyer because she doesn't have anywhere else to go and the house is in my name and I can't exactly evict her. My god, can those two just elope already? Jesus. These two are just dragging everyone else into their nonsense because they're trying to play normal folk when they're in love with their half-sibling. Just go, run off to a mountain town or something and be together. Good lord. You can have your big brother ooh-woo bullshit happily ever after without dragging other people into an emotional nightmare. Apparently this is not unheard of in cases where people meet up after closed adoptions. They feel this connection, but don't have a healthy way to express it. My older brother dated our eldest stepsister. He was 15, 16, and she was around 30 or 32. My mom was livid about it. Her dad pretended it wasn't happening. She was a bit of a sugar mama. Bought him lots of nice stuff, flew him places, took him to parties, did drugs with him, etc. Slept with him too. My mom thinks that she dated my brother just to spite her. I don't know how valid that is. Wouldn't surprise me though. But my mom was also a piece of work, and to get back at her and her husband for allowing it, she slept with her stepson. Don't worry, I'm still in therapy. I had a friend in high school that dated this girl for 6 months before their parents decided to randomly get married. The parents had only dated for a month prior to it. A few months later, he is trying to set me up with his sister and bragging that she gives good down south action. It was weird. Not me, but my close family. My grandmother had 3 husbands, 4 children with all different dads. My mother's dad was abusive and had been sleeping with my aunt, my mom's older sister. They continued that relationship for years. My grandma divorced him and he married my aunt. So my aunt was also my step-grandma and my mother's dad was also my uncle. When he finally died, I remember my mother saying, "I don't want to go to his funeral, but I really think I should be there to support my stepmom." That woman has always had a warped sense of humor, and I love it. Reading that whole thing made my head spin. I had to do several takes just to figure out what the heck I was reading. My parents are actually step-siblings. They began dating when we were teenagers, and when their parents met, they fell in love and got married. making my mom and dad step-siblings. They ended up moving in together since they were both still living with their parents, and my grandparents just let them share a room. It's always been a joke in our family that my mom is my aunt, my dad is my uncle, and my brothers are my cousins. My parents broke up before finding out that my mom was pregnant with me. One of my half-brothers is only 2 months younger than me. Once my brother's mom became pregnant, she moved into my dad's room, causing my dad to have to live with 2 separate women, both pregnant with his children, at the same time. The whole situation was just messed up. My girlfriend's uncle married my mom within 2 months of meeting her, when me and my girlfriend were 17. We were both pissed off. We broke up for about 7 months because every time we went anywhere, people would give us a hassle for being kissing cousins. We got back together and married at 19, but moved and went to North Carolina with them until our daughter was born. They had divorced by then anyways. I got with my stepsister. She came into town to visit her dad, and when I went outside to help bring her luggage in, she gave me those eyes. As soon as she saw me, and instantly I knew I was in trouble. For a week and a half, I kept being polite and trying to remain distant because I had been warned by my stepdad and her brothers to not even look in her direction, not bring any friends over, not do anything wrong, and I had absolutely no intention of doing so. But it was the first time I had ever had anyone interested in me to that degree, and I gave in, and we secretly got together for the remainder of the month that she spent in town. We were both young and dumb and fell in love, and thought we hit it well, but when they found out after she left, I got my ass beat. For a few years, they wouldn't let her visit, and we kept in touch. Then, after college, I moved to where she lived, and we've been together ever since. 11 years now, and we have a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. Everyone is completely fine with it now, and we make jokes about it all the time. Our parents met at our wedding. Mom was a widow, and my father-in-law was divorced, so we weren't step-siblings when we got married, but it still freaks people out. Confused the heck out of our kids, too, especially when I'd beg them to call me auntie when we went into stores. They were the devil's own in stores. I'm a child of a relationship like this. Family tree assignments in 2nd grade got real confusing. My sister and I are both segs workers. There have been numerous occasions when we've tag-teamed a client. We never tell them, and I'm not really sure why, because they'd probably pay more for that. Anyway, it's always the most hilarious thing ever, and we both have to try really hard not to laugh. I lost my V-card to my 3rd cousin. Had no idea we were related until 6 months into the relationship. That's about the closest I've got. I hate that bitch now, though. Alright, you caught my eye. Why do you hate her now? How did you find out you were related? To the first question, we found out we were related at a July 4th celebration when she mentioned that she had family with the same last name as me who lived in the same state as some of my family. My dad and her grandmother got to talking and realized that they know some of the same people. My dad then ended up pulling out a family tree. They traced it up to the common relative that he shared with her grandmother. So basically, her mom and my dad were 2nd cousins by blood, and she and I were 3rd cousins by blood. We only actually did anything after we found out. Hold on, so are we just going to ignore that he said after? I was waiting for him to tell me why he hates her now. But I am curious what led to the trip to Pound Town. Maybe Grandma died and they decided to bury something else at the funeral. Oh, good God, Reddit, why? My dad married my wife's daughter, and it drove me nuts. Many, many years ago, when I was 23, I married a widow who was gorgeous. This widow had a grown-up daughter who had red hair, and my father fell in love with her, and soon they too got married. This made my dad my son-in-law, and really changed my life, because now my daughter was my mother because she was my father's wife. And to complicate the matter further, even though it brought me joy, I soon became the father of a bouncing baby boy. Which means my baby then became brother-in-law to my dad, and so he became my uncle. But if he were my uncle, that would have also made him brother of the widow's grown-up daughter, who was of course my stepmother. Said daughter/stepmother, who was my father's wife, then had a son who was my grandchild because he was my daughter's son, who was also my stepmother. My wife is now the mother of my mother, and although she's my wife, that means she's my grandmother too. Now, if my wife is my grandmother and then I'm her grandchild, and every time I think of it, it drives me wild. Because now I've become the strangest case that I know as a husband of my grandmother, making me my own grandpa. Okay, guys, I'm just gonna call it right here before this gets any more confusing than it already is. So that's it for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'm ReddList. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.
Frisk, bomb those jamming ships.
Sure thing, Grace. I'll soften them up. You two finish them off.